For another edition of the Hot Seat. As you know, and we bring you the familiar faces, people known on our community, on our neighborhoods, and we try to find a little something that people don't know about them. That's what the Hot Seat is. And today, in the Hot Seat is my friend Alan Silvia. Thank you, Alan, for accepting the challenge.
Pleasure to be here. I had no idea what the hot seat really was,
yeah.
Nor, so the viewers know, I have no idea what you're going to ask me. So, but I think that's great because so many people know little about the real person. They hear about the politics and what's going on in Boston and locally, but.
So, and especially with politics, people know about the issues like we had in here the other two state representatives. We had here Senator Rodriguez. And so they are faces that people are familiar with their job, what they do, the issues, they try to help our community and all of that. What the Hot Seat tries to bring is that something that the community don't know about the person and who the person is besides the job they do.
Right.
And Alan Silvia, it was a good choice, or you would like to have a different name?
Well, you know what's very unusual about the last name is, you know, obviously it's a Portuguese name, but if you go to Portugal, there's no Silvia, S-I-L-V-I-A. It's either the Silva or Silva. So something happened on the way over here. Somebody changed that, and I don't know why they did, or if it was an accident, but it's the way it is. And yeah, I'm very.
You go there a lot. So any chance that you got Silva instead of Sylvia?
I think I'm a Silva and not a Sylvia.
Especially when you were at the Azores, which you just came back very recently.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
You are pets lover, right? Pets, like
I have a cat.
Dogs, cats.
I have a cat. I couldn't have a dog, Carlos, because how would I take care of the dog? I'm out of the house, you know, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. So I have a cat. My cat's name is Nala. My name in reverse, A-L-A-N-N-A-L-A, Nala. How creative is that? That's
Nala.
very creative.
Yes, it's another abbreviation from Nally.
Oh, well, you could say that. But I've had her a long time now. She doesn't talk much to me, but.
In food, I know you're a good eater.
I love to eat.
Hot dogs over sandwich?
Well, I'll tell you what I like to do.
Yes.
No, I obviously.
Give me your recipe.
Oh, okay. I like to, now, obviously I stop at Nick's and get two with the works, but I really enjoy, I go to Emerald's Market, I buy two of the good hot dogs, the, oh God, the skinless hot dogs, and I lightly fry them. And what I do with the buns, you know, the ones that are flat on each side, I put a little butter and I do that right in the pan. I love a grilled hot dog bun with the hot dog and onions and mustard. That's what I love.
So you created your.
I do that, but I cook more now than I ever did. I cook more now because, and I cook a lot of the things my mother made. You know. Even meatloaf, I mean, meatloaf is in Portuguese, but I like making meatloaf because I like the meatloaf sandwiches later. But it's nice to, you know, the other thing I do so that I think some people would love to try this. I make sweetbread French toast. You know, sweetbread, masa. And I slice it about an inch and a half. And the trick to it is, of course, you make your egg with, I put a little bit of light cream or half and half with cinnamon, a lot of cinnamon. And you make that mixture But when that pan is ready, you take your sweetbread. You don't let it sit in that pan. You put it in fast, dip it on the other side in the pan, because if you allow it to soak in, then inside is it's going to be wet. It's going to be wet. So just lightly dip it in the frying pan, both sides, of course.
Yes.
And the sweetbread French toast. Have you tried that?
No, I didn't.
You should try that.
I will try that.
Excuse me.
You know something else? One of the things that when Paul Schmidt was here that we talked about was my first experience at the Men's Can Cook, and we kind of give our recipe what we served there. And what did you have there?
I had shrimp Mozambique. Shrimp Mozambique. I think the first year I did peppers and onions.
Yeah.
Everybody does that.
Well, Kit was just in here. One show that we don't have in here, it's cooking. I think they should. I think you should do a cooking show in here.
I would enjoy
you like that?
participating. Yeah. I love to cook, and
because I hear on our channel we don't have a cook show. So
no, but you don't forget you need a kitchen to do that. So you'd have to find a kitchen.
Oh no, we bring some microwaves.
That's not how you cook.
That doesn't mean that it has to be taped here in the studio.
But one of the things I don't do it as much now, but I would enjoy for relaxation to watch, because I'm watching the news all the time. Everything's so intense. But to sit back and watch a cooking show on TV, because you got the cooking channels, huh?
No,
very good to watch.
My recommendation to you will be Cooking with Sylvia. You will invite a guest to your kitchen. You will cook and talk about.
I think that would be fun. I'd be happy to do that.
See, we will bring the cameras to your kitchen.
We'd have to go to the kitchen.
Let's see, music style. What did you?
Jazz. I'm not into rap or any of that. I like the traditional stuff. I still love Frank Sinatra. Believe it or not, I enjoy a fado, and I don't understand all the words, but I enjoy that Portuguese folk music, and a little classical, but not, of course, some rock from, I loved it. When I was a kid, I loved the Beatles, when I was a teenager. I was a Beatles fanatic. I had Beatle boots. My hair was, I looked like a Beatle. I was a Beatle. But that's sort of the music style. But I enjoy jazz.
That's good. And about singers, any favorite singer?
No, I mentioned the Beatles, and Frank Sinatra. I enjoyed listening to Frank Sinatra, but Billie Holiday and some that come to mind. But I think going back when I listen to some of the old music, the Four Seasons and the late 50s, early 60s had a great sound. I sort of miss that music. Like in.
One word to describe your life.
Chaotic. Busy. Now in my life, I'm pretty busy.
Yeah.
If I were married, I'd be divorced, because I'm constantly in motion, and I try to be, and you know this, I try to be everywhere that I can possibly be. I think to be able to show up in the community is what I do with constituents, and to be there, to be involved. So it's a pretty busy lifestyle. If I'm not in Boston, I'm in the Fall River office, so I'm pretty easy to find.
And the job requires a lot of time out too, and especially Boston, and traveling to Boston, it's not.
Well, Boston, no matter when you leave, it's 2 hours to get there, and it's almost 2 hours to get back, depending on what time you leave. So you're spending 4 hours a day just driving when you are there. So on an average, normally we're there 3 days a week. So that's quite task when you have to leave at 7:30 to be at a 10 o'clock meeting. So the driving is can take its toll.
Coffee or water?
Coffee. I know. The doctor tells me I don't drink enough water. So I try to drink water, but I have a tendency to go coffee, and then in the winter I sort of suddenly change to tea. I don't know what happens to me, but I like a warm chazing with you know, a little tea with some sugar. To me, that's
You don't put milk on your tea,
no,
do
no.
you?
I put a little cream in my coffee,
Yes.
but not in the tea.
Not in the tea.
No.
That's a Portuguese.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Color. Favorite
Blue.
color.
Blue.
Blue. Any history behind?
No, I just think I love the color blue, and so you'll see most of what I wear. I'll have a navy blue jacket or some blue, right? But
So we have two state representatives that love blue.
who's the other one?
Paul.
He does.
Yes.
I didn't know that. See, I'm learning that from Paul. He's a great person. You know?
Yes, he is. he
Good
is.
guy.
Is anything that you're afraid of?
There's a lot of people I'm afraid of. Fall River is loaded with them. No, I don't. You know, I guess everyone has fears, but I'm not afraid of anyone in particular. I'm sure there's some people still locked up who I would be afraid of if they were out on the loose.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not afraid. You know, Carlos, even when for 22 years as a police officer, I arrested a few thousand people. I never mistreated anyone. I always treated everyone with respect and decency. And I often run into people who I arrested on the street, and they, hey, how are you? They hug me, they shake my hand. So, no, I don't have any feeling.
Sometimes, you know, you saved some people that way.
I've had people come to me and thank me for doing that. Thank me because if that hadn't happened, their life wouldn't have changed. And that's really something when you think about that.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
So, you know, lots of us, none of us are perfect. We all made mistakes along the way, and people change.
Really, when we growing up, we always have that dream job,
Yeah.
right? Is it a dream job that's not going to happen?
Probably not. You know, I try to. I think back when I was a child. You know, I'm not sure exactly where I was going, what I was doing. That was one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps in 1970 when I graduated from high school. I had no direction. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave me some direction and focus. I knew I wanted to go to college as soon as I was discharged. So that helped me a great deal. And I headed, of course, to criminal justice and graduated from Durfee, went to the Marine Corps, and then when I returned, came here to BCC. And after 2 years here, transferred to Northeastern University for another 2 years. While I was in my senior year at Northeastern is when I applied to for the civil service exam to be a police officer. Lo and behold, I made it. And just a few years into the police work, I started attending night classes at Sal Regina for my graduate degree.
For those kids today that want to get into the job that you did, you recommend this
No.
new generation to get into
Not really.
criminal justice? That's what my daughter's taking.
Yeah,
so
I
that's
know.
why I'm curious about the.
So a number of people have come to me and said, Alan, you know, you spent most of your career in criminal justice in police work. You know, my son and my daughter is interested in. Would you talk to them? Would you encourage them to do that? I don't like encouraging people to. I think there are parts of that job that are terrible. It's not a great job for a family person. and of course, the job has changed over the years, but it wasn't unusual for me to work 75 hours a week when I was an investigator. You know, you go when it's time to go. When we find the body at 2 a.m., that's when you're going. We didn't have cell phones then, we had beepers. And but there were a lot of aspects of the job, issues around alcoholism, and I was blessed that I was never addicted or had a propensity to head to a drug, but I saw a lot of abuse of alcohol and other drugs with police officers because of the stress that's placed on them.
Name one thing that you will never buy.
That I would never buy. I'll never buy at a vegetable store or a fruit store or in or a supermarket Brussels sprouts. I don't like Brussels sprouts. So you will never catch that in my basket.
Cereal or soup?
Oh, I love soup. But I like cereal once in a while, like late at night, something to have. But I love soup. I love making soup. I just made chicken soup like a week ago. Problem is I make it, I'm so zing, I'm all alone, right? So I got this panella of soup. I try to give it away. My sister's downstairs. I say, you want some soup? Oh, no, please. I can't eat all this soup.
Yeah.
But you just can't make a little torching. You know? So
or else you won't eat soup the rest of the week.
No, I know. Well, we used to do that when we were kids, But so I like making soup, especially as it gets colder. The fall and in the winter.
You were born here?
I was born here.
Okay. And your parents were?
My parents were born here as well. My grandparents were born in. My grandfather was Jean Bosch, and my grandmother from Fürdisch in the Azores, St. Michael's, for those who will listen.
Because it seems like you speak Portuguese.
I speak, my grandmother spoke Portuguese to us. Of course, I was the oldest. I have two other siblings. I was the oldest. So my grandmother spoke Portuguese. She took care of us because my parents were working in the textile business. And so that's where I learned.
Some things you never forget.
Some things you never forget. And of course, over the years, I've tried to pick it up, when
I'm pretty sure you can understand a lot.
I understand much more than I can speak. I don't do anything grammatically correct. To say a full sentence, I always say I have uma boca de papas.
Yes, but
so
you know enough.
I know enough to understand.
To eat?
Oh, to eat? Absolutely.
to pick your food when you're in Portugal, right?
Oh, absolutely. So
2 of those, 3 of those.
My parents thought that it was a bad idea for my grandmother and grandfather to speak Portuguese to us when we were growing up, which was a huge mistake, because they thought that would interfere in our education in school. Of course, we were speaking English. So she would discourage that. Worst thing she could have ever done. I would have loved to have that as a second language where I could be fluent, So I learn now as I go along, and I pick up words, and some of them are not too good. But
Those are always the first ones we learn.
But I find now when you are in Portugal, everyone speaks English. I was at a conference in Portugal, and the individual, and all of them did this. They'd come in and they go, "Would you like us to present in English, French, Spanish?" They speak 4 languages. I was amazed by that. And here we are. Most of us only speak 1 language.
On my case, that I got French in school.
Yeah.
And French and Italy,
Italian.
France.
Yeah.
They are very similar.
Yeah, a lot of the words.
Just like you pick up some Portuguese words, we pick up some Italy.
And you notice most of the people I've met in Lisbon speak French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Those languages especially.
The thing is, Italian, it's faster.
Yeah.
It's a lot faster than Portuguese.
It's a beautiful language.
Portuguese already speaks fast.
I think it's a really pretty language, Italian.
Ice cream.
Coffee.
Coffee ice cream?
I love coffee ice cream. Ever since I was a kid. Although, I would tell my younger sister, when we went for ice cream, which wasn't often, but when we would go, my father would stop at one of the places where you buy an ice cream cone, and my sister would ask me, what should I have? And I would pick a flavor that I knew she didn't like. So that I could get the rest.
Both, right?
Imagine that. And I remember saying, here, I'll fix it for you. So it would, it was dripping because she was so young. I'll fix it for you. And I'm licking around the sides, right? And we laugh about that today.
A tricky question here is, if you have to lose, you prefer to lose your phone or your wallet?
Oh my God. Phone is a disaster. I've lost phone, disaster. I recently had my wallet stolen. And this is not so long ago. Mm-hmm. The day before I left to go to Portugal, the day before, I was at, I won't say where exactly, I was at a supermarket, and I took my wallet out to pay the bill, and the bill was like $19.11. So I put my wallet down here, and I went in my pocket for the 11 cents. That 11 cents cost me a lot of aggravation. Mm-hmm. Instead of me just giving the $20 bill, I should have done that. Because the counter was dark. And I went to grab the bags, and I left that there. Of course, they found the person because on the camera, they caught the person. Mm-hmm. But I never got the wallet back, my license, my firearms license, my credit cards. So all of my license and credit cards that I needed to fly the next day, gone. I had nothing. Luckily, I needed a passport to get on the plane, and I had a credit card that I hadn't used and that I had in the drawer that wasn't in my wallet. So I activated that card. I canceled all the other cards. It took me hours to do. Mm-hmm. Of course, the police were involved. When I should have been packing, I was involved with reporting an incident where my wallet was stolen. And I went right back there. I knew that I left it there. Went right back there. But you could see she was the person after me.
Yep.
And she picked it up and put it right in her pocket.
Yep. Happened to me once.
Terrible feeling.
I dropped the key there, went on the back of the store to pick up milk because I remember that I still needed to buy milk. Yeah. So I left the line, went on the back, came out, paid, went outside, the car was gone. Look, yeah. I think I parked here.
Yeah, it's a terrible feeling.
Terrible.
And
terrible.
But phone as well. This
terrible.
Is bad.
Pizza over subs?
Yeah, I'll take a pizza over a sub.
Mm. Any
on the pizza?
Yes, you make your own pizza too?
No. No, I don't do that. There's some pizza that, however, you got to shop around a little bit for pizza. But I like the combination of peppers, onions, and chorizo or linguiça.
Singer? Do you sing?
Oh, I sing in the shower. and I think there's a lot of people who won't admit that they sing in the shower. You see, if you ask them, you say, do you sing in the shower? They say, oh, no, I don't do that. I sing in the shower all the time. I have a whole repertoire.
Is the echo?
I think I sound beautiful. I keep thinking that if someone would hear me, that they would say, this guy, he has a career, but I sing all the time in the shower.
Mm-hmm. Any favorite drink, cocktail?
No, I'm not. I don't drink any hard liquor at all, or I'll occasionally have a beer with a clam boil. I do like red wine. And so when I do have a choice and it's dinner, I will pick a Cabernet or a Vin Tinct, something Portuguese, because the Portuguese have some great wines. Great wines. And 60 years ago in this country, nobody drank wine. Now you look at them, everybody's drinking wine. Everywhere, every place you go now, people are drinking wine. You didn't see that 50 years ago. In Fall River, you would have gone to a nice restaurant. You would have never had a glass of wine. Most people didn't drink.
And I think a lot of countries are picking up the wine test for
Sure.
fundraisers, and they've been doing really good.
But don't forget now, you know, back then, the countries that were really thought of as French wines. Now, I don't know anyone who drinks French wine. People are drinking wine from Italy, they're drinking wine from Chile, they're drinking wine from South Africa. They're producing wine everywhere. You know, we produce some great wine in this country as well. But amazing. Wine and olive oil, if you see how important that, because every vineyard you go to, they have their own olive oil, which is pretty unique when you think about that.
You left-handed or right-handed?
Right.
Right-handed. If I had to do a movie about your life, what the title will be?
Oh my God.
You give me a word already, but a title for a movie. It's okay, we have another 30 minutes.
I don't know. You caught me off guard on that one, Carlos.
You don't have to answer. Listen, and we are about a minute away. Usually, my last question that I give my guests is, what did you thought about the show, and if you will recommend the hot seats for somebody else?
You see, when I first heard that I'm going to be in the hot seat, I said, "Oh, they're going to ask me about what's going on in the city." I can do that too.
Yeah.
But because I'm used to those kinds of questions, so I would say that this is wonderful because, you know, you do want people to see that who you are, and you know where I grew up, probably in worse conditions than most people. You know, we didn't have anything. We just got by. But I love when I look back at my childhood and the love we had and the good things that we did have. So I think it's important for people to see that side of you. They see me all the time in the news or some other show.
Now they know what you like to.
They know what I like to eat.
What color you like.
And I'll bet you I'll be somewhere and somebody will go, "Hey, I know I know how you make your hot dogs."
So, and this is the end of one more show of the Hot Seats. I promise we will come back again next week with the new guests in a hot seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Very interesting. I'm being finding out a lot of stuff about